Hello again, live from the Paris Motor Show. Good to see you. So I've been joined now by Jürgen Schenk. Now, I'm going to disclose when you started your career. Is that all right?
Hi, Torio. My career started just 35 years ago with Daimler.
That's right.
I joined the electric story in 2004 when we decided to develop the first hybrid.
So you started as an electrical engineer with Daimler in 1980, and you are now the director of eDrive integration.
Yes, that's
So
true.
actually, you've seen so many changes in your career, but you've almost seen it from start to where it is now.
I think it were 10 or more. I don't know it. I was always within the electronics. I swapped over from powertrain electronics to hybrid, where we launched the first one in 2009. And when we had the first hybrid, we discussed whether we shouldn't go for a pure electric drive. And so I myself decided to go to electric vehicle development.
Okay, well, it must be a really exciting show for you here in Paris, because it's the star of the show, the eDrive cars, the electric drive. Now, Mercedes have approached this in 3 different ways. Can you talk us through which different styles that you've gone through?
So we experienced the plug-in hybrid. We experienced the pure electric drive, which we have with the B-Class electric drive.
So
This
just
is the first vehicle where we outperform everything from power to, we have zero noise, we have zero emission, we have everything in there. And so we decided with this one as well to transform into something that we need an architecture that will provide something which goes from the electric drive, from the smallest car to the biggest one. And we have also to go for the 3 pillars of emission-free driving, which the first is plug-in hybrid, second is pure battery electric drive, and the third one is our fuel cell technology, which we are still develop and look forward to see this car next year in the International Auto Show.
So with the plug-in hybrid, just going back to basics, what is the difference between a plug-in hybrid and then an all-electric drive?
The plug-in hybrid has 2 hearts. He has a combustion engine and an electric drive. So for short distance driving, when you're in town or in your city, you drive pure electric without emissions. If you go for a long distance drive, you use the combustion engine to bring you for a long distance drive from, as an example, from Stuttgart to Berlin. With the electric drive, when we started, we were limited to a range around about 200, 250 kilometers, but we pressed hard and pushed on the battery technology. So in the moment we identify we can go for 500 kilometers with one charge, and that's what we did with the EQ concept.
Let's go and have a look at that, actually, because I would think you've got your electric drive, that's as far as it goes, but no, you've gone one step further, haven't you? You're constantly developing this technology. So we've gone from all electric, and let's talk about the powertrain that's in the showcase car.
Yeah, in the showcase car, the middle of everything is the battery technology. The battery is in the middle of the car, and it has modularity, and we can scale it in length, in width, and in height. So we can scale the battery energy storage from a small car to a very big car. The biggest one you might see is the Maybach Vision 6.
That looks amazing.
Yeah, that's the biggest one we can imagine. And the smallest one might be something like a compact car. And the battery is sitting in the middle, and what we have additionally is in the front of the vehicle. On the front axle we have an electric drive, on the rear axle we have an electric drive. And let me just show you how it looks if we get the vehicle transparent.
Okay, if we come and have a look here, because we've got...
So here you see this wonderful car which goes for zero emissions, zero noise, and a wonderful acceleration. And what we see, if you look a little more inside, there is an electric drive on the front axle. In the middle is the battery pack, which is scalable in length and in width. And on the rear axle, there's a second electric drive. So the overall power of this vehicle is 300 kilowatt. 700 Newton meters, which push the customer in less than 5 seconds from 0 to 100. And that's amazing. It's feeling like you're sitting on a rocket.
I bet, yeah. I bet. So when you're developing eDrive cars, I mean, where does that start? What sort of things are important, do you think, for you and for the consumer?
For the consumer, the most important topic is the range and the rechargeability of the vehicle. So range is the content of the battery. The bigger the battery, the longer the range you can drive with it. The second is zero emission comes from, we substitute the combustion engine with electric drives, and what's very important, the efficiency of an electric drive is 3 times better than a combustion engine. So we use only a third of the energy that you use to have with a standard vehicle today. And therefore, it's environmental friendly, not only making no emission, it uses only a third of the energy.
So let's talk about charging actually, because I think that's one of the issues that a lot of people when looking into electric drive are a little bit concerned about. So let's talk us through that.
That's the secret behind this one. You see this one? This is a so-called combined charging system. There is one big plug, and the smaller one enables you in your garage, at home or at work to recharge your vehicle in 85% of all your drives. And the recharge is easy. You plug it, you unplug it, it's full, or you can also use an inductive charging system that recharges your vehicle without having any plug. If you now want to go for, as an example,
Hello and welcome once again live from the Paris Motor Show. My name's Tori, lovely to see you again. Come with me, we're going to go and see a world premiere now. Ah yes, you'll see it first. We're going to head over this way. You'll notice that a huge part of the Mercedes stand this year is all about e-mobility, electric vehicles. In fact, if you were watching a little bit earlier, we were in the E-Class hybrid car, which is quite spectacular in itself. We've also had a look at the concept SUV all-electric. We're going to have a look at a different sort of E-Class now. And like I said, this is the world premiere here in Paris. This is the man to talk to. Michael, lovely to see you. How's it going so far?
Great, absolutely. I think I can explain you this nice car.
You know, what we thought would be a good idea is I've not had a look at it yet, so we're going to look at it for the first time together. Not the first time for you, you've been working on it for a long time.
That's right.
This is the E-Class all-terrain. It kind of does what it says on the tin.
Yeah, it's so to go off-road, not heavy off-road, but go on dirt roads, etc. So in the end, therefore it's made. And I think you can see it already from the front.
Yeah, let's have a little look. Let's have a closer look here at the front, actually. It's one of the first things that I found really striking. It's that two-fin radiator grille. It kind of gives it that SUV feel, doesn't it? Is that what you were going for?
Yeah, that's one of the most expressive parts on the car is the front grille, then also on the bumper and the underride protection. So finally, in total, gives you not only the optics but also from the function. It's helpful because you can go a little bit better angles if you're off-road.
Okay, so talking off-road, all-terrain, something that's very important will be the wheels. So shall we have a little look as we walk around? Immediately you can see the large wheels. You've got those lovely flared wheel rims there as well. Can you talk us through behind the wheels?
Yeah. So we enlarged the wheels. We start with 19-inch rims, have 20-inch rims, but the rims is not all. So finally the whole wheel is bigger, so we have a bigger tire, so that you have more comfort if you're going off-road. This was the main reason for that.
And this comes as 4MATIC all-wheel drive as standard, doesn't it?
That's right. It is 4MATIC all-wheel drive, and it's always coming with air suspension.
Yeah, I love the look of those flared wheel arches. That's the word I couldn't think of a minute ago. Should we have a little look at the back of the car?
Absolutely.
Yes, let's go and have a look. I've not seen this yet. I've not seen the behind. Can you talk us through some of the design features here, please?
The first thing is the all-terrain is available only as an estate. So finally, our new estate, which offers you a very large space in the trunk area. But first, I think we have a look at also the rear bumper. So finally, here also we have mainly all those features that you expect from an SUV. So we had some carryover parts also from the SUV, so that you really get the impression as an SUV-like car. And we can have a look inside.
Can we have a look? Let's have a little look at the boot, I would call it.
Yeah, you would call it the boot. So in the end, what you can immediately see is that we have a lot of space in the boot. So we are with the largest space in the segment. So we have fully load space of 1,820 liters, so pretty big. You get an awful lot inside.
You could, I reckon I could fit in there. I could fit right inside the boot.
Okay,
there you go. Okay. Oh!
You're out, okay?
Thank you. Yeah, huge boot. Should we go and take a look at the interior? Award-winning E-Class interior. I'll meet you there. Okay, now we know that the interior of the E-Class is award-winning, it's spectacular, but I want to talk about the driving programs because this car is, of course, all about all-terrain. Talk me through what programs are available.
Using the Dynamic Select switch, you can choose the all-terrain program. So in this case, we can see here this little icon that shows you are the off-road program, and we drive the all-terrain program. So the all-terrain program gives you even more friction on slippy roads, and so it's a program you would not even think that you can get that far. And you can see what's going on. So finally, if we choose the Dynamic Select, then we can have a look at the vehicle data. So if you're going a little bit off-road, you can see your car, and you can see where you're going, you can see the angularity, and you can see also the height of the car. And if we would drive, which we don't do actually, then we would also see whether we brake or accelerate. So finally it gives you a very good overlook, like in our SUVs, in our latest. So you have the complete system that you also find in the SUVs.
Now, immediate when you popped this up on the screen, and this is the first time I've seen this as well, actually, you can see that car lift up with that wheel, extra wheel clearance. Can you tell us a little bit about the technology behind that? I'm guessing there's an awful lot.
That's right. So finally, we are riding in this case the Airmatic, so our air spring suspension. Yeah. And we can first, we gained about 30 millimeters in height just from the wheels and heading to lift the car anyhow. So finally you gained the first 30 millimeters of clearance. Additionally, you can raise the car by another 20 millimeters. So in the end, it gives you enough clearance to go really on dirt roads or in light off-road areas.
Now, this is the first time that an E-Class has kind of had this capability, isn't it?
That's right. Absolutely.
And who are you aiming this car to?
We are aiming for people that are looking on the one side on the SUVs, but still want to have the luxurious driving of an E-Class, because in the end, this car now offers all the comfort, the quietness, and everything out of the actual new E-Class. Especially also offers you all the assist systems we have, so up to our way to autonomous driving. And in the end, you can also go off-road. So in the end, looking at this, you finally have those customers that think about an SUV, looked at the estates, and finally want to have something which is a little bit in between, but having really the full comfort of the E-Class.
Fantastic. Now, this is a world premiere here at Paris. When is this car going to be available?
It will be available in March, so finally it will be offered in January, so you can order, and availability is in March to April, depending on the markets.
Lovely. Thank you so much for chatting to us and showing us around this beautiful piece of art, I'd like to call it. If you've fallen in love with the E-Class All-Terrain, make sure you get your orders in. It's going to be available from March. We are with you all weekend live from the Paris Motor Show. Make sure you catch up with us later on.
So you want to moderate? Okay, so then you get it wrong. Okay. Der Sound ist ein bisschen versetzt. Du hörst dich ein bisschen, das hat ja schon mal gesagt, ein bisschen.
Ja.
Ihr seid ja im Auto dann.
Ja, ich versuche nicht drauf zu achten, dann werde ich ohnehin nur nervös jetzt.
Good morning. We are, of course, live here from the Paris Motor Show. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the first of our EQ live talks, and I've been joined by Christoph von Hugo, who is the manager of the driver assistance systems, the safety assistance, something that we've been learning about for the last few years and has sort of become second nature to us. Tell us about what your actual role is.
Well, I'm heading a department that is responsible for developing radar systems which are basis for today's driver assistance systems. And of course we are working closely with the guys that are developing our road to autonomous driving. So our ultimate goal mainly is to make these beautiful cars be capable of actually driving you around town or driving you to your vacation.
It's such an interesting topic. I cannot wait to have a chat with you. We've got a beautiful E-Class behind us. It seems silly not to jump in. Shall we go? You jump in the driver's seat. I'll meet you in there. Yes, welcome. Isn't it gorgeous in here? Okay, so to begin with, we heard you there talking about autonomous driving. What's the difference between that and automatized driving?
Well, I think we generally just talk about automated driving, and there's different versions of automated driving, whether you're talking about parking, self-parking cars, for example, whether you're talking about cars driving on the highway. And of course, there's multiple levels of automation. In this E-Class today, for example, you've got a maximum of comfort and support systems. We call them advanced driver assistance systems that help you, for example, to accelerate the car, to decelerate the car. Imagine stop and go traffic, and you basically don't have to do anything, but your car just keeps the distance to the vehicle in front of you, and it just keeps you rolling through the traffic jam. It also helps you, in fact, to steer, so you will feel little steering inputs in the steering wheel. It just keeps the lane, it follows the car in front of you, and it's really quite comfortable, and especially on longer trips, it really relieves you from the tedious part of driving. And so That is today's part of automation. And now if we are thinking about where this might lead us, that eventually means that in the future you'll have cars where you don't even have to have your hands on the steering wheel anymore, but maybe you can just take your hands off the steering wheel and imagine a traffic jam. You don't want to watch what's going on around you. You just want to maybe watch a movie on the head-up display, or maybe you want to do your emails. And that's really what we are striving for.
You'll actually look forward to being stuck in traffic jams, won't you?
Oh, of course, of course. Actually, that's what we are doing today in engineering. We are looking for the traffic jams. We want to see how our cars work in traffic jams, but of course we also want to see how they work in flowing traffic.
So, of course, we're talking about the car within itself. We've also heard that term car-to-car communication. Can you explain that a little bit more for us?
Well, that's also one of the enabling technologies that allows for better driver assistance systems in the future, and they will also play a role in highly automated driving. Imagine we've got a lot of sensors in the car, radars, cameras, ultrasonic sensors. They are all helping us to monitor the environment, and then we fusion those inputs, those information that we get, and from that we derive a good strategy how to assist the driver. Now, some of those things that are dangerous to us maybe cannot be seen, not even with a radar that has a range of 200, 250 meters. Imagine you're driving around a curve or over a hill, and you cannot see anything, your car cannot see anything, and that's where car-to-X communication comes into play. So imagine there's another E-Class out there, and it's had an accident, maybe the airbags have popped out, and of course that's a danger to other road users. So in that instance, this car will automatically send a message to our backend server, and from that backend server, this information will be shared with other vehicles in the surrounding area. So what you can see right here, for example, if I'm driving around on the road and I'm seeing a danger, maybe a broken down vehicle beside the road, I just go in my navigation screen, I push a button, going down here, and I'm actually sending a message to everybody else. The car says, "Thank you for informing other road users." And now I've pretty much sent a signal to everybody around so that they know when they are getting close to this point of interest or this point of danger that they should slow down or somehow adjust their driving characteristics to this danger.
It's so interesting. Can you give us a little bit of an insight to where we are at the minute and what we can expect in the near future in terms of these assistance systems?
Well, I think we've already come quite far with what we call semi-automated driving, which means assisting the driver in everyday driving situations, but still having the driver at the responsibility to have his hands on the steering wheel, to watch the surroundings. And I think we can expect within the next 4 to 5 years to see vehicles where we actually allow the driver to take the hands off the steering wheel, at least in certain situations, let's say a traffic jam, to allow the driver to relax a little bit more. And imagine you're having a 400, 500, 600 kilometer drive, and you have parts in between, in a traffic jam, for example, where you can just relax. That means you need less brakes, you'll probably arrive quicker, and in fact you'll arrive much more relaxed. And that is really where we are heading in the next, as I said, 4 to 5 years.
Now, one of the big issues that personally I think about and a lot of people ask me about is where we're crossing over those safety elements. So you don't want the driver to obviously become distracted or too relaxed. How do you approach that? How do you work around that subject?
That's actually something we think about very early in the development phase of our vehicles or of our systems. Very early in what we call the concept phase, we already talk to customers, to normal drivers, and we let them drive these systems in driving simulators and see how they work with these systems. And sometimes it's a very narrow gap between do they understand how a system works or don't they understand it. And that's really where we focus on when we start developing the systems. We don't do what the engineers can do, but we do what the customers can deal with and what helps the drivers. That is really our approach. So for example, if you take our Drive Pilot in the current E-Class, which is an automated function helping you with steering, accelerating, braking, we've tested it with many customers in the driving simulator, but also on public roads later in the development process. And we've learned how we need to develop the algorithms so that the driver has a maximum comfort benefit of the system, but doesn't start to rely on it too much. And it works very well.
And how are you finding people accepting this? Because you'll obviously have drivers in their mindset that want to be in charge. Are you finding that people are actually becoming quite accustomed to these assistance systems?
I think people are very well. They know what the system can do, but they also know what it can't do, and they know when they want to drive sporty. If you are on an ocean road or so, you'll probably not use your drive pilot. You want to drive yourself. But then there's other situations, basically on your daily commute to work, where you want to have a maximum of relief. And you don't want to arrive at work already sweaty. You want to enjoy your ride to work, and that's where people engage the drive pilot and have a maximum of comfort and relief, also on longer trips, for example. So people really choose between the situations where the system makes sense and where they choose to drive manually. And we still want to keep this possibility for the drivers. We know that people that buy our cars buy them to drive them, and not to be driven all the time. So our cars are designed in a way that driving them is still a lot of fun, but some situations are just not fun to drive, and that's where our driver assistance systems come in.
So let's talk about what systems already come as standard in the Mercedes vehicles.
We actually have a radar as standard in all of our vehicles. So if you're looking around here, there's not a single vehicle here that doesn't have a radar as standard equipment. And what this radar does, it's monitoring the vehicles in front and helps the driver to prevent head-to-tail accidents. So if you're driving in too closely to the vehicle in front of you, the car will warn you with a beeping sound, with a visual warning. And if drivers actually don't react to that warning, then the car can actually brake itself. And that has become standard on all of our cars. And as we speak, we are, of course, enhancing those systems. So in the current E-Class, the system does not only monitor other vehicles, but it also monitors pedestrians. So imagine us sitting in this beautiful E-Class driving through a city, and suddenly there's a pedestrian running across the street, and you may be not paying attention in that particular second, but your vehicle will pay attention and it will warn you, and if it's necessary, even start braking autonomously.
Christoph, thank you so much for giving us an insight there and joining us for our first live talk on Facebook. Make sure you join us a little bit later on. We'll be here throughout the day. In fact, we're here all weekend, so make sure you stay tuned to the Facebook page and look out for more of our live talks. We'll see you soon. Hello, once again, we are live from the Paris Motor Show. I have been joined here by Matthias Jens. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, we're going to talk about e-mobility because it is the #1 topic throughout the entire show, isn't it?
It is the topic. I mean, really, you can tell. There's nothing else on the show that is really important.
Now, here on the Mercedes stand, there are 3 different sort of types, so to speak. We're going to talk about the plug-in hybrid. Now, what are the advantages of having the plug-in hybrid model?
I mean, first of all, there's this 3-pillar strategy from Mercedes-Benz saying you have these conventional cars, and then, of course, you have our beautiful electric cars coming up, plus, of course, hybrid cars. Like you can see the entire fleet here, 8 different models that we have currently. And the advantage is that you have a normal car, like our customers are used to have these cars, plus you can drive electrically with these cars, and that's the main benefit of these cars at the moment.
And what about the plug-in hybrid in particular out of the 3 different strands?
I mean, there's nothing changing for our customers because they have their Mercedes as you used to have it, with all the comfort, all the features, all the comfort that you see out there, plus the electricity in the car, which brings you electric from 1 to B. And you can do cool things like do a preconditioning on the car, so you set the EC on a certain temperature, and then you drive in the right temperature from the start, which is a very cool feature. Plus the car decides on its own when to drive electric and when to use the combustion engine. A very cool feature.
Okay, now this is your chance to, promote Mercedes, there are a lot of electric vehicles here at them throughout the motor show. What makes the Mercedes e-mobility stand even more outstanding?
I mean, look at this entire fleet. We have electric cars already in the market, and we just introduced the new Smart Fleet, plus the show car from the EQ brand, which is coming up. And then, of course, our fleet of already 8 different plug-in hybrid models that our customers just don't need to flip the model. They just pick their Mercedes, and this Mercedes can now drive also electric. And that's the biggest benefit of our fleet right now. And there is no differentiation in comfort, nothing that they have to learn differently with the cars. That's the cool thing.
Now, something that seems to be drawing the crowds in, so to speak, would definitely be the concept car at the end there. Can you tell us a little bit about the powertrain behind that?
I mean, the concept car is a whole new area for Mercedes-Benz, of course, combining a platform from Mercedes-Benz and put that on a whole new level that we can go into each and every segment building electric cars.
Okay, now while we're over here, actually, we're going to stand by the wall here, the power charging wall, because I think this is a really important part. Without it, they wouldn't go.
Of course, you need to recharge an electric car, and that's as easy as and as comfortable with Mercedes-Benz as everything else is as well. With that beautiful wall box, designed wall box here, you can recharge a plug-in hybrid, for instance, in less than 2 hours or 1 to 1.5 hours. Just back to be fully loaded. So that's the cool feature about that, and it's just as easy as plugging your car in and out. You just drive in your garage, flip the plug, and then you put it back in, and that's it. I mean, as easy as it could be, recharging the battery of the car in safety and comfort, and all you need just to be sure that your car drives electric again.
Now, we're here by this rather snazzy electric box. Do you need to get one of these if you get one of these?
I actually have one at home, so I'm very excited about that. It's a very cool feature because you just drive back in your garage, plug the car in, and with easy installation, it's all good.
And do you need to have one of those, though? Or
No, of course not. You can recharge our cars on a household socket as well. But of course, if you want to go faster and if you want to go more comfortable, you choose one of those wall boxes at home just to make sure that your car is faster, recharged.
And what about when you're out and about? Because I think that's where most people are concerned.
I mean, there's a standard socket in the car, so you can recharge wherever there's a loading station outside. You can recharge the car over there and just recharge the car wherever you go. And if there is just a household socket, just use that. It's as easy as that.
And let's face it, with the amount of electric vehicles we're seeing at the motor show, there is going to be charging stations all over the place soon, isn't there?
I think that's, if the future is electric, and that's of course what we see, then there will be an infrastructure of charging stations all over the place.
Okay, come with me, Matthias, because we've got a model over here, and I think it's quite interesting to see actually what happens underneath the bodywork here. So can you talk us through this?
Of course I can. I mean, the cool thing about plug-in hybrids is the combination of a combustion engine in the car and an electric powertrain. So what you see here basically all in white is the conventional car as you used to see it on the roads. You have the combustion engine in the front, and then you have the transmission driving the car on the rear axle here. And in between the combustion engine and the transmission is our electric motor, which brings efficiency and a huge torque on the electric side. Now, the battery for driving the car is then in the back, well integrated, so there is nothing what the customer needs to feel differently with the car. So you have your trunk, and you don't feel and see the electric engine in the car. So well integrated, and that's what the customers want to see from Mercedes-Benz, of course.
And does it take up much space?
No, not really. I mean, the battery must go somewhere. That's a given. But we try, of course, to use as less space as possible in the car. And we found out that the trunk space at the moment for the concept that we have is the best place to integrate the battery in the car.
And what about weight? Because I know we're always trying to keep our cars lightweight. How do you tackle that? with a big fat battery?
I mean, of course, we try to find the best balance between the weight of the battery and the range of electric driving for the cars. At this time, we are at 30 kilometers of range with the plug-in hybrids, and we are going to be up at 50 kilometers in the near future, and using as little battery as necessary for exactly that, to have a small battery well integrated in the car using just a little space.
Now, Matthias, while we've got you here, I want a little bit of inside scoop. If you could pick just one of these cars, because there is an amazing fleet here, which one would you pick? Only one?
Of course, the latest model is our beautiful E-Class 350e. The latest one that we have out there, you have a range of over 30 kilometers of electric range, 65 kilowatts of electric power. And I've driven it by myself, and it really drives like a sports car if you want. On the other hand, you can drive as quiet as you drive an electric car. That's super cool. And the car decides on its own when to drive electrically. That's amazing.
It is. They've got a mind of their own.
Yes, they have.
Matthias, thank you so much for chatting to us. There we go, a little insight into the amazing e-mobility fleet here at the Paris Motor Show. It really is the talk of the show. We're going to be here all weekend, actually, with some live action for you. So make sure you keep an eye on the Facebook page, and we'll keep you entertained, hopefully.
Thank you very much.
See you soon.